guys, I'm Brian.
And I'm Terry.
And today we're going to take you through some of the tools we've found to work best for us when it comes to starting to clear a forest. I mean, you got to have a game plan when you go in, and this is what works well for us.
You can get by with a minimal amount of tools, a little handsaw and axe, but that's a lot of work. Chainsaw helps.
A long time.
Yeah.
So, you know, the first thing we did is start clearing brush and blazing a trail through to get an idea of the lay of the land. And one of the things that was paramount in that was a good machete. We started out with the Camillus carnivore. Looked kind of cool. I'll insert an image here.
That thing cut, man. It would just go right like butter, man. And it left the cleanest cut through.
It was razor sharp.
You can just take a little inch and a half tree and slice it in two.
And then I was bucking up a small pine with it because I didn't have an axe handy, and snapped the blade in two.
That's one of the tools.
We have a hawk visiting us.
Hey, little guy.
Yeah, they're all over out here.
Yeah.
But after we snapped that in two, I got to doing some research. First off, it was cheap Chinese steel, and it was basically like pot metal. So we quickly replaced that. Got a couple of hawks now.
Yeah.
And we did some research and found the Condor Bushcraft Parang. They've learned how to make these things right, and Condor does a great job at making a very cost-effective product that holds up extremely well.
Not fancy at all, but a phenomenal handle.
Yeah.
Man, the grip on that thing.
It's like a polypropylene handle, and
that right there, man.
It won't slip out of your hand when you're working.
Yep.
And it chops so well. It does a phenomenal job clearing brush.
And we haven't yet to break one.
Yeah, we have it. This is the original one we bought almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And the blade will get eat up, of course, but you take a Lansky puck to it or a file, clean it up, and you're ready to get back to chopping. And this is your sweet spot. The last few inches of blade before the end, you can really do some serious clearing with this. Excellent investment. I think it was around $55. So next up, one of the biggest things we've used is hand saws, and we've been through quite a few of those as well.
Yeah, we started out with these Corona, which are awesome saws. They're very cheap. Problem we found was they cut extremely well, but teeth just bust out eventually. This end tooth is usually a little bit of a hook there. It's broke off of this one. Broke off of, we've had
He's
4 or 5.
lost inches off of them before. We've been through 5 of these saws in almost 5 years.
Yeah, and this happens a lot. This got a lock nut right here, but you can see that one moving around, and I just noticed you got to keep looking. These things come loose. They shouldn't.
It's a cheap lock nut on it, so it doesn't hold up.
It's a lock nut that doesn't lock.
Yeah, but it's a great design on the handle. It's very ergonomic.
Yeah, it is.
You've got a good pull stroke. You've got a good thumb ramp here if you're doing two-handed cutting. It's really a good design. It works extremely well, but the steel is not the best on the blade.
And even though it feels like a lightweight plastic, it does hold up.
Yeah,
the plastic
we have
part.
not had a problem with the handle yet.
Yeah, and that curve right there, I really like that because you can really get a pull on it, you know, and not slip off.
Works extremely well. Just it's a lower cost saw. It's going to break down on you if you use it any at all.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So then Todd.
Yeah, a buddy of ours I worked with learning how to cut trees prior to doing this. He's an arborist and does a ton of climbing, and he's always got a silky sugoi on his side. And one of the downsides to this design with the sheath is, as the sheath wears, the saw will poke out the end, as you can see here. And when it does, you can't get a one-handed draw because the hook of the end of the blade goes over the end of the sheath. So you got to reach and use 2 hands and then draw it out.
And when you're 70, 80 feet in a tree and trying to hold on to something, you don't really want to have both hands down there.
So he gave me this, and he had already been using this about a year when he gave it to me. And we have still been using the exact same blade going on 5 years now.
Works great.
It's getting a little dull, but you can buy replacement blades for this for around $60. And it does a phenomenal job.
3 times this lasts way more than 3 times longer.
Without a doubt. I mean, literally, we've been through 5 of those. That's $100. This is an $80 unit or a $60 replacement blade. That's a no-brainer. Granted, that is compact. You can carry it easily, but if you're out here doing serious work, this gets the job done extremely well.
And they make some silkies that fold that are
there's tons of different silkies out there. We've got several of them, different folding saws. We've got a smaller one than this called the Zubat. I'll insert an image of it here. It's really a great saw. It's a little bit shorter and easier to pack around. We have had several of these, actually all of them. This is the first one that hasn't yet. The blades will, it's got a little bit of warp in it. The blades will bend and they get a kink and you got to bend them back.
And then they're going to break in no time.
We have bound these silkies up, and
they don't
it's
bend.
Such a good laminated steel. It just flexes and goes back. So really a good investment, guys. And another big thing with all these hand tools that we forgot to mention is gloves. You need hand protection. You know, if you cut your hand open or cut a finger open or something, you can't run these tools properly. You're down for a day or two letting things get back to normal where you can actually go work again. A good pair of gloves makes all the difference in the world just from scratches and briars alone.
Blisters.
Oh yeah, big time blisters.
Mm-hmm.
We started out with the Blue Hawk gloves from Lowe's, the heavy leather ones, which are good gloves.
Yeah, they have their place.
Yeah, they're like $10 a pair.
If you're in mud and dirt or dealing with a lot of sloppy wet stuff,
yeah,
I'd use them. You know, but they're going to stretch out. They don't, and once they get stretched out, you're clumsy as heck. The fingers get really big. Yeah, the leather's great leather.
Yeah.
But because it's leather all the way around, when it gets under stress, there's nowhere for it to flex or give, so that leather stretches.
Yep.
And then when they dry up, they're stiff as a board. And these here,
we found, you know, Velcro gets full of dirt and whatnot, and it loses its Velcro-y. So it's not going to stay on. Then you've got a Velcro flap hanging around if you get any gloves that have Velcro on them. We found the Mechanics Wear Fast Fit gloves to be an excellent option.
Stretchy.
Again, they're about 20 bucks, and yeah, like you said, they're stretchy. The front is leather, the back is more of a spandex, and these have been soaked in rain. Dad's are a little bit beat up.
That's because I work harder than him. I got holes in mine.
Now, these are his old pair. He forgot his good ones. But, you know, these hold up really well, and they are twice the price of the other gloves, but they last more than twice as long.
And this leather's thin, so you're going to think they're not going to hold up. It's a very durable leather.
Yeah.
And because everything else is cloth and stretchy, when they get under stress, that stretches and gives, so the leather's not getting stretched out. And that's where the leather breaks down on you on the other gloves. As it gets wet, it gets stretched out, then it dries up and it's hard as a brick, and it's just a mess.
These have been wet several times, and they go back to normal.
Yeah, they work out. They do good.
Extremely well. So gloves are an investment, obviously, but it's a good investment. Just like a good parang and a good saw and a good axe. It makes your life easier, and the better dexterity with these, you can work more efficiently and safer. That's just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So prior to starting this project, I worked with a buddy of ours. I was fortunate enough to have somebody close to us that would let me do that, and he's an arborist. He showed me all the tricks of the trade and really helped me get a good comfort level with felling trees, because this is not something to be taken lightly. This is a very dangerous process. I mean, logging and arborist work is one of the most dangerous things you can do.
You can die from this thing just hitting you in the throat, kickback or whatever.
Yep, you can be maimed for life. You'll never walk right again.
If you don't cut that tree right and it ends up falling on you, some of them will jump. There's all kinds of things that can happen.
There's so much that can happen when you're cutting trees down.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's smart to learn from somebody who knows what they're doing or go take a course on it. It really is valuable knowledge that you'll use for the rest of your life. It's worth the time and effort and money if you have to pay for it to learn how to fell a tree properly. All the safety talk aside, you need a good quality saw when you're out here working. And yes, we have a Husqvarna. Still's also good. It's Ford and Chevy. You know, it's just what you like. This is the Husqvarna 455 Rancher. This is more of your prosumer. You know, this is about as big as you're going to go without getting into a pro grade saw. And it has been a phenomenal saw. I mean, we have cut down well over 1,000 trees with this saw, little ones to 3-foot diameter trees. We do have a 20-inch bar, and I would say 90% of our cuts didn't need a 20-inch bar. We could get by with a 16 with no problem. So really, you know, this is one of those buy once, cry once tools. You know, make the investment, because if you're doing a homestead, you're cutting firewood all the time, this is something you're going to use for a long time to come. When it comes to cutting trees, a huge thing you've got to have is personal protective equipment. You don't have to have it. You may think you're Superman, but all it takes is one mistake to prove you wrong.
Exactly. It's not worth that mistake.
No. When it comes to PPE, the sky's the limit on what you can spend. You can go as low as $10 for a hard hat and a set of earplugs. Bad thing about a hard hat is you can't wear your earmuffs with a hard hat.
Yeah. This adjusts really nicely to your head, though.
Yes, it does. It does have a nice ratchet adjustment, which is surprising for that helmet. This is the bare minimum when it comes to cutting a tree, because you've got limbs, whatever can fall out of the tree. You don't want stuff hitting you in the head. It hurts very badly.
Yeah.
You need safety glasses if you're wearing a helmet like this, without a doubt, because you've only got one set of eyes. You don't want to lose them because you could have been wearing safety glasses. Or if you step up to something like I wear, you've got an integrated visor. And this is a huge bonus because I can flip it out of my way when I don't need it. When I'm chipping or cutting something where I need it, I've got eye protection. My earmuffs are built into the helmet. They click in place, and it's a very positive engagement. I swing them up out of the way. I don't have to worry about finding these because I set them down somewhere. Everything is right here on my helmet. It locks in just like a bicycle helmet with a quick clip. And like that one, it ratchet adjusts on the back to get a perfect fit on the back of your head.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, and this one has breathing vents. This is a Cask Super Plasma. Phenomenal helmet. The big difference between these two is not only the look and style and attachments, This one's about 10 bucks. I got about $200 invested in this helmet. It works extremely well. It breathes extremely well.
The convenience of eyes, ears, everything right there, straps on your head. You can put it on and just go all day with it on.
Yeah, I've worn this for 12 hours some days.
And like you said, you don't have to hunt. If you got safety glasses or goggles, you're taking them on and off. You got that helmet, you got to pull it off, get the goggles on.
Or you've got the risk of the safety glasses getting knocked off your face.
Right.
Everything's on here, you're good to go. So that's definitely something to consider. Again, it's one of those buy once, cry once things. If you're doing a lot of this work, that's a worthwhile investment. And last but not least is a good pair of chaps. You know, yes, it gets hot and miserable in these things, but all it takes is one mistake. You've cut your femoral artery, you've cut your knee into, you've cut your ankle into. Who knows what's going to happen? Again, you're not Superman. This is something that is extremely valuable to have, and you can get them for under $100 for a good set. One of the most important things to have when you're out working on a homestead, hands down, is at least, if nothing else, a boo-boo kit, Band-Aids, Neosporin, Benadryl for bee stings, all that kind of good stuff. I can't tell you how many Band-Aids I've given Dad because he cuts himself all the time.
Yeah, and he gets into bees.
Yeah, I get into bees. A boo-boo kit at a bare minimum.
Yeah.
But we've both had training. He's had wilderness first aid training. I've had wilderness first responder training. Have proper training so that if something major happens to you and you're not near society or not close enough to get help, or you have a serious injury, have a trauma kit on hand. I've got a tourniquet. I've got chest seals, all kinds of stuff in here. This is something for a later date, obviously. There's a lot in here. But have a trauma kit that you know how to use, that you can use to help whoever's with you or they can use to help you.
Keywords are, know how to use it.
Yes. Do not, no matter how cool you think you are, don't put stuff in your trauma kit that you don't know how to use, because you're going to end up hurting yourself if you try to use it.
People lose limbs that unnecessarily because they didn't know how to use a tourniquet.
A tourniquet is one of the easiest things in the world to learn how to use. Get a little bit of training and know how to use it. It can save a limb, can save a life, and they cost $30. It's peanuts.
Especially out here cutting trees.
Yes. So, you know, this is, above all else, this is the most valuable thing you can have out here with you. It can save your life. It's worth every penny. So that's our gist of the tools that we've used getting into clearing this forest.
Just an overview. And there's shovels and mattocks and...
We'll get into a lot more stuff later, but this is what we used getting started, cutting trees. And we wanted you guys to have a good handle on what we're using, because we know we'll get a lot of questions in the upcoming videos. What saw are you using for this? What helmet is that? You know, we always get those questions.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know you guys are gear junkies just like I am.
You want to know.
you got to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Exactly. So hopefully you guys can get linked back to this video if you've got any questions on any of this in future videos. And again, we've got a lot more coming. For instance, with the chainsaw stuff, we've got ropes and pulleys and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, we're going to go into some detail on how to use a chainsaw and safety and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll show you setting up rigging for trees and pulling larger trees over. We got a lot of good content coming with that.
Well, we hope you guys find this useful, and you know, it's kind of like Ford and Chevy. These are the tools we find useful. This is the equipment we find useful. Other people find other things useful. You know.
It's all in what works best with you and your style. This is what works for us.
Yep.
But if you guys like what you see, give us a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button below. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications when new videos are posted. Hit us up on Instagram and Facebook, and check back often, guys. There's a ton more to come.
See you next time.
Have a good one.